Many people have stern objections to mysticism or transcendentalism of any sort because they think it somehow denies this world or hates this earth or despises the body and the senses and its vital life and so on. While that may be true of certain disassociated approaches, it is certainly not the core understanding of the great non-dual mystics, from Plotinus and Eckhart in the West to Nagarjuna and Lady Sargolya in the East. Rather, these sages universally maintain that absolute reality and the relative world are not two, which is the meaning of non-dual, much as a mirror and its reflections are not separate, or an ocean is one with its many waves. So the other world of spirits and this world of separate phenomena are deeply and profoundly not two. And this non-duality is a direct and immediate realization which occurs in certain meditative states. In other words, seen with the eye of contemplation, although it then becomes a very simple, very ordinary perception, whether you are meditating or not. Every single thing you perceive is the radiance of spirit itself, so much so that spirit is not seen apart from that thing. The robin sings, and just that is it, nothing else. This becomes your constant realization through all changes of state, very naturally, just so. And this releases you from the basic insanity of hiding from the real. But what is it, then, that we ordinarily don't have that perception? Why is it that we don't ordinarily have that perception? All the great non-dual wisdom traditions have given a fairly simple answer to that question. We don't see that spirit is fully and completely present right here, right now, because our awareness is clouded with some form of avoidance. We do not want to be choicelessly aware of the present. Rather, we want to run away from it, or run after it, or we want to change it, alter it, hate it, love it, loathe it, or in some way agitate to get ourselves into or out of it. We will do anything except come to rest in the pure presence of the present. We will not rest with pure presence. We want to be elsewhere quickly. The great search is the game in its endless forms. In non-dual meditation or contemplation, the agitation of the separate self-sense profundity relaxes, and the self uncoils in the vast expanse of all space. At that point, it becomes obvious that you are not in here, looking at the world out there, because that duality has simply collapsed into pure presence and spontaneous luminosity. This realization may take many forms. A simple one is something like this. You might be looking at a mountain and you have relaxed into the effortlessness of your own present awareness. And then, suddenly, the mountain is all. You are nothing. Your separate self-sense is suddenly and totally gone. And there is simply everything that is arising moment to moment. You are perfectly aware, perfectly conscious. Everything seems completely normal, except you are nowhere to be found. You are not on this side of your face looking at the mountain out there. You simply are the mountain. You are the sky. You are the clouds. You are everything that is arising moment to moment. Very simply, very clearly, just so. We know the fancy names for this state, from unity, consciousness, to Sahaj Samadhi. But it really is the simplest and most obvious state you will ever realize. Moreover, once you glimpse that state, what the Buddhists call one taste, because you and the entire universe are one taste or one experience, it becomes obvious that you are not entering this state, but rather it is a state that, in some profound and mysterious way, has been your primordial condition from time immemorable. You have, in fact, never left this state for a second. This is why Zen calls it the gateless gate. On this side of that realization, it looks like you have to do something to enter that state. It looks like you need to pass through a gate. But when you do so, and you turn around and look back, there is no gate whatsoever, and never has been. You have never left this state in the first place. So obviously, you can't enter it. The gateless gate. Every form is emptiness, just as it is, means that all things, including you and me, are always already on the other side of the gateless gate. But if that is so, then why even do spiritual practice? Isn't that just another form of the great search? Yes, actually, spiritual practice is a form of the great search, and as such, it is destined to fail. But that is exactly the point. You and I are already convinced that there are things that we need to do in order to realize spirit. We feel that there are places that spirit is not, namely in me. And we are going to correct this state of affairs. Thus, we are already committed to the great search. And so, non-dual meditation makes use of that fact and engages us in a great search in a particular and somewhat sneaky fashion, which then calls selling water by the river. William Blake said that a fool who persists in his folly will become wise. So, non-dual meditation simply speeds up the folly. If you really think you lack spirit, then try this folly. Try to become spirit. Try to discover spirit. Try to contact spirit. Try to reach spirit. Meditate and meditate and meditate in order to get spirit. But of course, you see, you cannot really do this. You cannot reach spirit any more than you can reach your feet. You always already are spirit. You are not going to reach it in any sort of temporal thrashing about. But if this is not obvious, then try it. Non-dual meditation is a serious effort to do the impossible until you become utterly exhausted of the great search. Sit down completely, worn out, and notice your feet. It's not that these non-dual traditions deny higher states. They don't. They have many, many practices that help individuals reach specific states of post-formal consciousness. But they maintain that those altered states, which have a beginning and an end in time, ultimately have nothing to do with the timeless. The real aim is the stateless, not a perpetual fascination with changes of state. And that stateless condition is the true nature of this and every conceivable state of consciousness. So, any state you have will do just fine. Change of state is not the ultimate point. Recognizing the changeless is the point. Recognizing primordial emptiness is the point. And if you are breathing and vaguely awake, that state of consciousness will do just fine. Nevertheless, traditionally, in order to demonstrate your sincerity, you must complete a good number of preliminary practices, including a mastery of various states of meditative consciousness, summating in a stable post-conventional adaptation, all of which is well and good. But none of those states of consciousness are held to be final or ultimate or privileged. And changing state is not the goal at all. Rather, it is precisely by entering and leaving these various meditative states that you begin to understand that none of them constitute enlightenment. All of them have a beginning in time, and thus none of them are the timeless. The point is to realize that change of state is not the point. And that realization can occur in any state of consciousness whatsoever.